Hello everyone, my name is Marina Moon and today I am here with a review of the Children's Tarot by Julianne Victoria. So I was originally going to do a Kids Tarot video, and I still am, on the 3 tarot decks that my daughter uses. But in the meanwhile, I received this tarot deck and I was just really excited about it. Excuse me. And I really wanted to share it because this deck is made specifically for children. So let me pull up the card here, Children's Tarot. And it comes with a guidebook that's also a coloring book, so I thought that was I thought that was really cool. I love the images, I love the keywords, and I wanted to share this with you. So if you do like this video, please remember to hit the thumbs up button and consider subscribing to my channel. That would be greatly appreciated. Okay, so here we go with the review. There's 3 things that I wanted to talk about that really impressed me about this deck. So the first thing was the cardstock. And I know I'm not one to get on the cardstock bandwagon. I mean, if as an adult, if the cardstock is great, that's just an extra bonus. But if it's crappy cardstock, I will just treat them more gently. But for kids' tarot decks, this is an important thing. And the creator, Julianne, was very thoughtful, I thought, about her cardstock. Okay, so here is one of the extra cards. Here's the cover card for her deck. And it comes, by the way, in this great little box. It's a plastic box that is very sturdy. So it comes with that. Those are the card backs as well, which I thought were really lovely. It reminds me of the Tree of Life. And I'm not sure if it's supposed to be a Tree of Life. And in the center, it has a peacock. So Julianne's channel is through the peacock's eyes. So I thought that was a great little synchronistic symbol there. Okay. So it comes in a box, and the cardstock is fantastic. So I would not do this with some of my other decks because they would not bend back, but I am bending this puppy all the way. Do you see that? And they just pop right back right back up. So it's great, you know, because kids might step on them or might bend them or might just be curious about them. And I did want to do this other thing. I practiced this with the extra cards that come in the deck. So in the deck, you will see these extra information cards, keyword cards, which I thought were really cool. So I did that with, I did this experiment with the extra cards, and I'm going to see if I can capture it on camera. So this is a drop of water. And I'm just trying to see if I can capture it. There you go. Yeah, you can see it there. So you see how they beat up? The water is beating up, and it's not, you know, you can just kind of like smooth it out, and the card is dry. So that I was really, really impressed with that. So the cardstock is really great. It's bendy, it's high quality, it seems to be very resistant to moisture. So yeah, okay. And so now I should mention that the deck is a major arcana only deck, which I like for kids as they're learning the tarot. 78 cards is a lot of cards for a child to get his or her little mind around. And so I thought the major arcana, and only including the major arcana, would be a wonderful start for children, so they don't get overwhelmed by you know, by all that symbolism, by all those meanings, by all the uniqueness of every card. It's really hard to keep track of. So let me go through the deck, and a lot of the major arcana has been renamed. So here we have the Fool, and here it's named Possibilities. And I will get to the guidebook in just a minute, because the guidebook has a description of what the card means. Here's Learning, so here's the Magician. And the Learning card is about getting the necessary information, getting the necessary skills, so you can learn what to do and how, you know, how to create what you want. getting the skills, so getting the information so you can create what you want in your world. Here is imagination, okay? And this card for me is about really going inward, just like the High Priestess would, right? And for the Hermit card, she actually names that one intuition. So while we think about one of the keywords for the High Priestess is intuition. Here, the focus, she's kind of not changed the focus, but kind of steered the focus to be a little bit more of inward looking, like you would in imagination. At least that's my understanding. Where the Hermit card, that's more of a focus on what feels true for you based on what's coming, what you are sensing, what you're feeling, what's right for you. So I thought that was pretty neat. Okay, and here we have Mother. The pictures are really sweet and they're very clear, right? So I mean, the intuitively you can kind of read what the Mother card is about, and the Father card is about, and possibilities as a child looking through the window. Here's Teacher, so the Hierophant. Choices. I like that one. That's the Fool. That's the Fool. That's the Lover's card. What choices do we want to make? Movement. The Chariot. And patience. Number 8, strength. Intuition. Here's the Hermit card, right? There's the beautiful owl. Going inward, finding out what's true for you, what's right for you, using your inner light. Karma. So this is about cycles, right? This is the Wheel of Fortune. Truth. I have to tell you a short little story. My daughter actually has brown hair, long brown hair, and she loves horses and she loves unicorns. And so when she was flipping through the deck, she looked at this card and she goes, oh, which one is she going to choose? And she looked at the card and she's like, horses and unicorns? What? You can't choose between those two. You can't choose between those two things. So she was just really tickled pink that, like, two of her favorite things, literally two of her favorite things in the world, horses and unicorns, were on this card. So she felt like that little girl in the truth card. What's true for you? Are you being honest? Are you being truthful with others? Are you being truthful with yourself? So that was fantastic. This is acceptance. So this is the Hanged Man, accepting what is. Change. So the other thing I really like is that there are no scary cards, right? So the scary cards would be the Tower, death. What else? Another scary one in the major arcana. The Judgment card sometimes can be a little scary with the coffins opening up. But here we have none of those cards, even though we have the energies represented by the pictures. Here's the Temperance card, Harmony. Courage is the Devil. The Devil, that was the other big scary card, of course. Having the courage to face something that might be intimidating for you. And I love how shadow, right? The concept that the shadow self, what's in our shadow, that comes up here as well in the symbolism, in the imagery. Here we have rebuilding, and then when my daughter looked at this, she goes, "It's like Jenga." It's like Jenga. You know, if you've ever played Jenga, it's where you pile up the it's very much like this, the wooden blocks, and then you take one out at a time, and whoever takes the block that topples the Jenga tower is the one that loses. So she could relate to having to start over after you lose at Jenga. Wishes, I love that one, the Star card. Oh, I just love the Star card. Oops, wait a minute. I skipped some. I'm out of, okay, here we go. All right, dreams, so the moon card. Okay. And there we have the moon in the background. And the other thing I want to say too is that there is different ethnicities pictured in these cards, which I really appreciate, which I really like. I'm actually half Hispanic, and yeah, really appreciate having, you know, that sense of inclusion in decks. There's joy, the sun, awareness, and that one was an interesting one for me. So I looked it up in the guidebook, and I'll read that part to you. But it was neat. I like that keyword. And oneness. Oh, I love the world. That one was beautiful. I always thought like we have it all wrong with these national flags, right? You know, we're all like it's like the US versus Canada or the US versus France, you know, in sports and wars. And I wonder how the world would be affected if we had instead of I mean, we could have our national flags, but like the main flag that we fly, that every country flies, is the world flag. And I imagine like a globe with children around it, just everybody, you know, holding hands. I think that's a logo for a lot of businesses. But that's our flag. Like every country runs that flag first before anything else. The world flag comes first, and then you know, their national flag comes second. You know, to change that mentality of, you know, we are separate. It's us against them. No, we are united first and foremost, and then we're divided into these separate sections. Okay, I'm I'm getting completely off topic. All right, so that was the major arcana, and that is the deck. One of the things I see like if in future renditions of this deck, I thought it'd be really fun. So I'm just going to suggest this in case, you know, I don't know. Anyway, that like wild like cards like you are, you know, you are awesome, or today's going to be a wonderful day, or, you know, something like that where kids could draw it and they're like, oh, I got the wild card. I got the, you know, you are wonderful card or whatever that is. Because I could see kids really digging those little surprises in the deck. So to the guidebook, because the guidebook's really cool. So here we have the guidebook, and the guidebook is on Amazon and another website, and I will post all of the links below. But here is the guidebook, and this is the one that's not on Amazon. The name is escaping me for the second. It's like Lulu or Luzu or Zulu or something like that. But I'll put it down in the, and what I like about this is that it is spiral, so it'll lay flat if a child wants to work on it. And so here are the coloring pages. And so let me show you. Again, this feels very water resistant. And what we have is we have, okay, so we have the card, right? The card is possibility. So we're going to talk about the Fool card. Life is full of endless possibilities. When the zero card comes up, Spirit is telling you to take a moment to pause, step away from your thoughts, and view things from a fresh perspective. And then it goes into keywords: seeing things clearly, opportunities, confidence. And what really touched me, what I really liked, is these quotes at the bottom. And this one says, "Nothing is impossible. The word itself says I'm possible," and it's by Audrey Hepburn. And every card has a quote attached to the card, the meaning of the card itself. I wanted to show you the coloring part. So my daughter has been working on this. Here is her rendition of the Fool, Possibilities. When she saw the coloring book part, she thought that was really cool because she has other decks. She has 3 other tarot decks and 2 other oracle decks, and they come with guidebooks. And you know, typically you don't color in the guidebooks, you don't write in the guidebooks. And she was really excited that she gets to color what the card can look like. And there's also space for kids to write their own meanings on. And I didn't expect this, but when she saw this, she actually almost liked this. I mean, she loved the coloring book part, but she's like, oh, I get to write in the book. So that was kind of a thing for her that she gets to write in the guidebook. That was a big deal for her. Let me show you some other ones that I wanted to. So the father card is one I wanted to talk about. So father figures are providers, protectors, teachers. It goes on to talk about what the father card represents. But what I like is that when the four card appears, you are being advised to listen to the guidance of your father, a father figure. His wisdom is there for you. So not only does it tell you general information about the meaning of the card, but it's a little bit more specific. When this card appears for you, here are some things to think about. The keywords are listed, and then another great quote, it is our choices that show what we truly are far more than our abilities. And the quote, it feels like to me, is made to, flow with the energy of the card itself. So that was just a really thoughtful touch. And the choices card, so I'm not going to read all these to you, but this is one of my favorite quotes of all time. The choices is the lover's card, the path, what path do we want to take, right? Alice came to a fork in the road. Which road do I take, she asked. Where do you want to go? Responded the Cheshire cat. I don't know, Alice answered. Then, said the cat, it doesn't matter. Right? I really resonate with this quote because sometimes it's like, oh, what does the universe want me to do? Sometimes when I'm in a fork in the road, I'm like, oh, what does the universe want me to do? What's the right choice here? I can get really stuck on what's the right choice for me here. And we forget that it's like, it goes back to you. Well, what is the right choice according to who? Like you have to decide, what do you want? What kind of relationship do you want? What kind of job do you want? What kind of friendships do you want? What kind of, whatever it is that you want, we have to go inward and go, well, where do we want to go first and foremost? Because that's going to tell me what the right road is. There's no universal right answer. There's this destiny path, but that destiny path is inside of me. Like there's no right destiny for me out there. We have to decide what we want, and then that internal destiny GPS can go, okay, based on what you want, here's the right path for you. So I really, really like and resonate with that. There's a few other ones. The truth one. So the truth again has the information, and then when the 11 card appears, it's time to evaluate if you're being truthful. Is your heart and mind in balance? Are you being open and honest with yourself and others? And keywords: fairness, honesty, balance. And the quote is, if you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything. And I had never heard that quote, and I thought that was really, really cool. Okay, so that is the guidebook. The other thing I was going to mention, I was going to mention cardstock, guidebook, and size is the other thing as well. If you see these, like, okay, so that's like really a different size than most tarot decks. And I think I might have, okay. So here's the Crow Tarot. I just had that in my purse real quick. Let me pull out a card. And these are very well, they might be a little bit larger than standard, but they're close enough. So you can see the difference. And when my 9-year-old daughter was handling these cards, they fit so nicely in her hand. Let's get a prettier card here. They fit so nicely in her hand. And I actually even took a picture of her, with the cards, and I'll probably put that on Instagram at some point. But they're just a great size for kids. And at first, I used to think the bigger the better with the cards, until I started handling these really big oracle cards. And they're not real easy to, they're not real easy to shuffle. They're not real easy to work with, even though you get this beautiful card that is, beautiful to look at, and you see the artwork more closely. And there's certain benefits to having a big card, But some of my favorite decks, I think most of my favorite decks are smaller decks that fit nicely in my hand, and I do wonder how much of a factor that plays into them being my favorite cards, in addition to them being very readable for me. So I really like the size as well. So like I said, this is a fairly new deck to my daughter. I anticipate that it will hold up very well. Like I said, this cardstock is wonderful for children. And yeah, it'll be fun to see her color the book, play with the cards, write in her guidebook, which she's just very excited to do. She loves writing. And I'm sure she'll be giving readings to her unicorns and horses and kitty cats because that's what she loves to do. So anyhow, that was The Children's Tarot by Julianne Victoria. Julianne Victoria also has a channel on YouTube. I will link that below because I think she might have, she has done her own quick walkthrough of this deck as well, if you're interested in seeing that. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I really enjoyed making it. And please consider subscribing to my channel if you are drawn to that. So thank you so much, and you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.